Good morning, everyone, especially to our teachers who are with us this morning. Today, we're going to discuss the DepEd Order number 31, Series 2020, also known as the Interim Guidelines for Assessment and Grading in light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. This is the DepEd's official guidelines for assessment and grading under the new normal. But before we go on to our topic, I have here prepared pre-tests for you to answer true or false. And at the end of this session, you're going to check in the post-test if you got perfect score. So I'll give you a couple of minutes to answer this as fast as you can. So I will read so that you can answer while I am reading. Number one, DepEd Order number 31, Series 2020 is also known as the Interim Guidelines for Assessment and Grading in light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. Number two, summative assessment is a process that involves teachers using evidence about what learners know and can do to inform and improve their teaching. Number three, formative assessment is usually administered at the end of the learning period to measure the extent to which the learners have mastered the essential learning competencies. Number four, minimum of 4 written works and 4 performance tasks shall be administered within the quarter, preferably 1 in 2 weeks, integrating 2 or more competencies. And number 5, each performance task must be accompanied with clear directions and appropriate scoring tool or rubrics. Okay, so let us move on to the next slide. For the rationale, this issuance is the means to adapt to the implementation of the alternative learning modalities that help ensure that learners achieve essential curricular goals even during this time of pandemic. These times call for creative and innovative ways of designing optimal learning experiences and in assessing learning progress. The principle adhered to by DepEd Order number 8, 2015 still holds true. So, ibig sabihin po, hindi pa rin naman nawawala si DepEd Order number 8. Meron lamang pong ilang mga pagbabago dahil nga po ito sa nangyaring sitwasyon sa ating ngayon na hindi pa pinapayagan yung face-to-face learning. So, mamaya po ipapakita ko sa inyo ano ba yung mga ilang pagbabago na yon na napapaloob po sa interim guidelines. And anyway, when we say interim, ibig sabihin po nito ay temporary. So, dahil meron po tayong pandemic, kaya po nagkaroon ng interim guidelines itong DepEd Order number 8. Ito nga po yung DepEd Order number 31, Series 2020. So, under distance and blended learning, we should utilize these alternative tools without creating undue pressure on teachers, learners, and their families. Dahil inaantabayanan po natin ang ating mga guro, mag-aaral at ang kanilang pamilya, kaya po meron tayong interim guidelines kung paano po tayo mag-a-assess at magbibigay po ng grades during this time of pandemic. The highlighted definition of terms included in these interim guidelines are the following. Number 1, classroom assessment. So alam ko po, alam na natin lahat ito dahil dati na natin ginagawa. It is an ongoing process of identifying, gathering, organizing, and interpreting quantitative and qualitative information about what learners know and can do. So lahat naman po tayo, di ba? As a teacher, nagbibigay po tayo ng classroom assessment. So number 2 is the formative assessment. It is a process that involves teachers using evidence about what learners know and can do to inform and improve their teaching. This process, through teachers' immediate feedback, enables students to take responsibility of their own learning and identify areas where they do well and where they need help. So, in short, when we say formative assessment, ito po ay ginagawa natin for the purpose of feedbacking. Kung ano po yung kaya na ng bata at natutunan na ng bata at kung saan pa ba siya nangangailangan ng tulong At ganun po sa atin din. Ito po ay paraan ng pag-feedback sa ating paraan din ng pagturo kung alin ba yung dapat po nating i-improve din o balikan para po mas matutunan ng ating mga mag-aaral. Number 3, summative assessment. It is an assessment that is usually administered toward the end of the learning period to measure the extent to which the learners have mastered the essential learning competencies or the MELCs, the results of which are recorded and are used to report the learner's achievement. So alam natin ito kasi ginagawa po natin ito. Every after 2 weeks of issuance of modules, di po ba nagbibigay tayo ng summative assessment at ito po yung ating nire-record bilang basehan po ng magiging marka po ng bata. So ito po ay mahalaga kasi nga po ipinapakita nito kung na-master ba ng bata yung mga essential learning competencies na nandun po sa ating MELCs. And number 4, grading. Grading is the way of reporting assessment data by assigning value to the results as a record of a student's ability, achievement, or progress. So, di po ba, nagbibigay tayo ng kanilang numerical grade bilang paraan natin para maipakita yung result ng kanilang achievement o yung kanilang progress. So, yung po yung tinatawag nating grading. At lahat naman po tayo, alam na po natin ito. Okay. So, there are different kinds of assessment. No? Meron po tayong dalawang pasok sa sinasabing assessment for learning. So, take note of this po, my dear teachers. So, when we say assessment for learning, dalawa po yung andito, the diagnostic test, which precede instruction, binibigay po natin ito bago po tayo nagtuturo. Kumbaga po sa doktor, parang ito po yung dinadiagnose muna natin yung ating mga estudyante. Di po ba? To check learners' prior knowledge, identifies misconceptions, interests, and learning styles or preferences of our pupils, provide information to assist planning, and guide differentiated instruction. So another is the formative, yung diniscuss po natin kanina, which is ongoing. So ibig sabihin po kasi, pwede tayong magbigay ng formative test before, during, and after instruction natin. Provide information to guide the teaching and learning for improving learning and performance. Include both formal and informal methods. So for the assessment of learning, dito po nakapaloob yung summative assessment o yung diniscuss natin kanina. It's for culminating. Determine the degree of the mastery. Dito po natin makikita kung na-master ba talaga nung bata o gaano ba niya na-master yung mga pinag-aralan po natin o yung mga itinuro natin sa kanila. Or proficiency according to identified learning targets. Evaluative in nature, resulting in a score or grade. So, yun po. And to address these challenges, the teachers, learners, and parents or guardians should play significant roles and responsibilities. So, ito po yung dapat nating maunawaan at ipaunawa din po natin sa ating mga parents at sa ating mga mag-aaral. Na ito po ay dapat po nating pagtulong-tulungan kasi nga po para ma-address natin yung mga challenges ngayong pong may pandemic. So, ano nga po ba ang roles and responsibilities ni teacher? So, una, designing the assessment to allow for flexibility in multiple modalities. So, ngayon po, distance learning tayo, yung iba nag-a-apply na po sila ng online, yung iba naman po ay printed modules ang ginagamit, yung iba po blended sila. So, ano man po yung ating modalities na ginagawa, teachers should design assessment that allow flexibility. And next is communicating to learners and parents or guardians the design and standards for grading the assessment. So yun po, wag nating kalilimutan, my dear teachers, na i-communicate natin, ipaliwanag natin sa ating mga magulang, sa ating mga learners, kung paano ba natin dinesign yung ating assessment at ano ba yung standards for grading ng assessment ng mga bata. And then is setting up mechanism to monitor and record progress remotely. Yan pa po, isang napakahalaga po nito na mag-set po tayo ng mechanism natin paano nga ba i-monitor at paano nga ba mare-record ano po yung progress po ng mga bata kahit po ganito po yung sitwasyon. Okay, and then is giving timely, constructive, and relative feedback. Alam ko po, mga teachers very creative. May mga kani-kaniyang GC, yung iba po ngayon ay may mga online kumustahan. May mga paraan po tayong naisip o naisagawa para po makapagbigay po tayo ng mga timely and constructive feedback sa ating pong mga mag-aaral regarding po sa kanila pong pag-aaral at sa result ng kanilang assessment. And then facilitating remediation for learners who need further guidance. Ayan po. So kasama pa din sa ating role, my dear teachers, is to facilitate the remediation para po dun sa mga mag-aaral natin who lag behind or who struggle ano po sa kanila pong pag-aaral. And for the learners, what are their roles and responsibilities? So pwede rin po natin itong isabi sa kanila or ituro sa kanila during our online kumustahan or sa ating pong video call, sa ating GC, kung tayo po ay meron mga ganong paraan. Una, learners are expected to be proactive in updating their teacher or of their situation, progress, and challenges encountered. Yan po. Maganda po yun, ano, na-open po yung mga gaaral natin sa atin. Naunawaan natin ano ba yung sitwasyon nila, no? Kumusta na ba sila sa kanilang pag-aaral, yung kanilang progress, ano ba yung mga challenges na encountered po nila. And then, a non-mandatory self-monitoring tool may be accomplished. May kasama po itong DepEd Order number 31 na monitoring tool po. Pero ito po ay, sabi po sa ating memo, is non-mandatory. Pero maganda din po na pasagot po natin sa kanila para makita po natin yung kanilang mga feedback doon. So, sabi po dito, or with the assistance of their parents or guardians. So, pwede po nila i-accomplish ito independently or i-guide po sila, i-assist sila ng kanilang mga magulang kung kinakailangan. It is not required to accomplish the self-monitoring tool, but its usage is highly recommended to keep track of learners' academic progress. So, yun po. Yun po ang kahalagahan ng meron po nun. Okay. So, ito po yung sample. Meron po dito. Meron din po kung nakapag-download na po kayo nitong DepEd Order number 31. I am encouraging you everyone na mag-download po kayo nito kasi makikita nyo po dito yung sample na sinasabi ko po na self-monitoring tool. Ayan po. So, may nakalagay po dyan, pangalan ng mag-aaral, baitang at pangkat, pangalan ng magulang, tapos meron po dyan para sa mag-aaral. Ayan po na kanilang pwede pong sagutin yung mga tanong mula Lunes hanggang Sabado. So, yung pong kumpleto po nito ay nasa DepEd Order. Now, what are the roles of the parents and guardians? Okay, DepEd aims to develop independent learners who can study on the assessment on their own. So, yun naman po talaga ang goal din natin. Di po ba? Na mga bata natin ay makapagsarili o nakapagsasarili sa kanilang pagsagot sa mga assessment na ibinibigay po natin. Pero ipapaunawa din po natin sa ating mga magulang na napaka-crucial din ang kanilang role dahil ngayong pandemic ay talagang kailangan po ng guide ng ating mga mag-aaral. So, paano po ba nila i-guide? So, nakalagay po dito, thus only when necessary, parents and guardians are requested to assist in the assessment process by communicating with the teacher to give updates on their child's situation, progress, and challenges encountered. Yan. So, pwede po tayong kausapin ni parents, ni guardian, para magbigay ng update sa atin. Ano ba yung sitwasyon ng bata? Ano ba yung kanyang level na, ng progress niya? Ano ba yung mga challenges na encountered para po ma-TA din natin si parent para po ma-guide niya mabuti yung kanyang mga anak or anak. And then, guiding their children in accomplishing the assessment task or, sabi po dito, tools designed by their teacher. So, i-guide po ni parents ang kanyang mga anak sa pag-accomplish po ng mga assessment task o yung nandoon nakapaloob sa ibinigay po nating mga assessment na tayo po mismo yung gumawa. So, yun po. Ang pwede po nating i-share po ito sa ating mga parents during our online orientation or face-to-face, limited face-to-face orientation para po na unawaan din po nila. O nga po pala, pwede rin po nating explain sa kanila na pwede nating i-assist ang ating mga anak but not to the point na sila na po yung sasagot or sila na yung magsusulat ng sagot dun po sa modules or sa answer sheets ng ating mga anak. So kapag ginawa po kasi iyon, ay hindi po tayo makaka-develop ng mga independent learners. So ipapaunawa lamang po natin ito na maayos sa kanila para po ma-encourage po natin sila na tulungan yung mga anak nila na maging independent din po through their guidance. So yun lang po. So, how do we plan the assessment? Teachers need to be creative and flexible in assessing student learning, while still adhering to the principles of quality assessment practice, with safety, health, and well-being foremost in mind. Assessment decisions must be made in the best interest of all learners. So, yan po yung ating consideration when we plan the assessment. So, kapag ginawa po natin yung ating mga assessment, so ang palagi po nating iisipin ay ito ba ay for the best interest of our learners. Okay, another. Teachers should ensure that all assessment activities, ito po yung mga reminder sa atin when we plan our assessment. A. Align with the most essential learning competencies. Yun po yung palaging una. Dapat naka-align po siya sa MELCs. And then B, are reliable, valid, and transparent. C, are fair, inclusive, and equitable. Letter D, are practical and manageable for both learners and teachers. So, ibig sabihin po, when we say manageable, yung pwede nating ma-check or makapagbigay tayo ng feedback or ma-monitor natin po ito. Kasi kung sobrang haba po or sobrang hindi siya manageable, mahihirapan po tayo. Hindi lang yung mga mag-aral natin kung hindi tayo din po. Kaya nga, di ba, pinaplan po natin talaga yung assessment na ito ay flexible po siya and practical, manageable para po sa atin at sa ating mga mag-aaral. And then, give learners a range of ways to demonstrate their learning. And F, provide timely, accurate information as basis for feedback. Okay, so in distance learning modalities, teachers shall design assessment bearing the assumption that learners will asynchronously take them and have open access to various resources. Yan. So for summative assessment, una po yung written works. Alam po natin ngayong may pandemic, dalawang klase po na assessment yung binibigay natin as basis for grading our pupils or students. So yung una po ay written works. Written work shall be administered to assess essential knowledge and understanding. So ito po ay in the form of quizzes, long tests, or unit tests. So items should be distributed across the cognitive process dimensions using a combination of selected response and constructed response formats so that all are adequately covered. So mamaya po ay let us ask our PSDS kung i-adapt po natin yung ganun po sa sinasuggest nila na multiple choice type po ng test. And then the other one is the formative task, which refer to the assessment tasks that allow teachers to show what they know are able to do in diverse ways. They may create or innovate products or do performance-based tasks including skill demonstration, group presentation, oral work, multimedia presentation, and research projects. So, yun naman po yung para sa performance task. Written works could also be considered as performance tasks. So, meron din po kasi dito na nakalagay sa memo na ang written works ay pwede rin siyang, may times na pwede rin i-consider na performance task po siya. Okay, so digital printed modular learning para po sa mga ganitong klase ng modality, nandito po yung mga suggested kind ano po, ng outputs, products, or task na pwede po nating ibigay. So lahat po ito ay nasa DepEd order. So yung tulad po ng sinabi ko kayo, hindi ko na po isa-isain kasi madami po siya, baka hindi po tayo matapos. Anyway, pwede nyo po siyang basahin. So, by learning area po ito. Halimbawa, sa language, may written outputs po doon para sa summative assessment po natin. May products, may performance-based tasks din doon na pwede po natin i-adapt. Ganun din po sa other learning areas. Yan po. Yan. So, ganun din po sa online distance learning. Meron ding mga samples po doon na pwede nating ipagawa sa ating mga mag-aaral bilang summative assessment tools po. Yan. Okay, so summative assessment. Okay, performance tasks. Performance tasks must be designed to provide opportunities for learners to apply what they are learning to real-life situations. In addition, teachers should take into considerations the following. Ano po yung dapat po nating i-consider? Number 1. Each task must be accompanied with clear directions and appropriate scoring tools. Or, yung lagi po natin ginagamit dito ay rubrics. Yun po yung ating commonly used. Ano po? Pero meron pa pong iba. Pwede rin checklist or rating scale. Yan po. To help learners or students demonstrate their learning. So, meron din po ditong sample niyan sa Annex C. No? Mamaya di-discuss po nila. And then teachers are advised to collaboratively design, implement performance tasks that integrate 2 or more competencies within and across subject areas. Ito po yung application naman ng itinuro sa atin sa ESP. Yung tinatawag po nila na integrative performance task na kung saan po pwede po natin integrate yung 2 or more competencies within and across subject areas. So alam naman po natin yan. And then complex tasks may be broken down into shorter tasks to be completed over longer periods of time. So, meron din pong sample dito yan sa Annex D for sample integrative assessment task. And then, learners must be given flexibility in the accomplishment of their performance task to consider time and resources available to them. So, nonetheless, all learners should be at the same competencies using the same scoring tools. So, dapat po, isang competencies yung ating tinuturo, iisa rin pong scoring tool, yung ating or rubrics, yung ating gagamitin para po sa pag-determine po ng kanilang learning or performance. Bibigyan din po natin ng flexibility, ano po, yung mga bata sa pag-accomplish ng kanilang performance task. Kasi nga po, kinoconsider natin yung ngayon, may pandemic, at saka nga po yung availability po ng mga materials. Lalo na po kung wala pong halimbawa, makita or mabili po sa kanilang locality. On summative assessment, teachers must exercise their professional judgment in carrying out summative assessment, providing enough opportunities for learners to practice and to redo their work whenever necessary, so that they can reach their learning targets with the least amount of pressure. Yan. So, napakaganda po nitong part na ito ng DepEd Order number 31. So, muli po, bigyan po natin ito ng emphasis, ano po, na ang teachers ay binibigyan po kayo ng karapatan to exercise your professional judgment sa pag-carry out po ng inyong mga assessment or summative assessment. Magbibigay po tayo, tandaan po natin, ng enough opportunities sa ating mga mag-aaral na matutunan po at ma-redo yung kanilang mga assessment or kanilang mga work kung talaga pong kinakailangan. Kasi nga po, kailangan nilang ma-reach din yung kanilang learning target na hindi po sila gaanong nape-pressure dahil po sa pangyayaring yan. Hindi din po kasi madali para sa mga bata na sa bahay po sila mag-aral na hindi po nila tayo nakikita araw-araw. So, yun po. Kumbaga po ay susuportahan po natin sila. Okay. Another, teachers should set realistic expectation and use their professional judgment to find a good balance between what is effective and what is feasible to accomplish remotely. Yan. So, isa pa po, maganda din po ito. So, ang isa-set po natin ay realistic expectation. Yung maaari pong magawa ng bata remotely. So, nasa sa atin na po yun, yung pag-set po ng mga ganong klaseng expectation. Kasi binibigyan naman po tayo ng kalayaan to use our professional judgment. Okay, communicating the assessment task. In communicating the assessment task, teachers must ensure the following. Yan, so dapat po ito daw. In details ay na-explain po natin. Okay, objectives of the assessment task. Yan. Bang objective? Bakit tayo magbibigay ng assessment? And then, dapat na-explain din natin ano ba ang roles ni bata, ano ba ang roles ni teacher, ay ni parents or ni guardians. And then, procedures and expected timeline. Yan. So, ano yung paraan ng kanilang gagawin para masagot ito at yung expected timeline, kailan po nila ito dapat matapos. And then, yung standards po na ibibigay natin sa kanila at yung rubrics po na kailangan nilang makita muna sa pag-accomplish po ng kanilang mga performance task. The teacher must consult the learners and when necessary, parents and guardians to allow room for adjustment and flexibilities needed if any. Yan. So maganda rin po sa ating mga meeting, sa ating orientation, ay na-i-discuss po natin ito para nakakapag-collaborate po ang mga teachers at ang parents para kung meron pong mga dapat i-adjust or i-modify sa ating mga ibibigay na standards sa pag-take po ng assessment ng mga bata, ay nagkakaroon po tayo ng pagkakataon na mapakinggan din natin yung ating mga parents, yung ating pong mga guardians. So yun po. Yan, record of progress. The collection and recording of evidences of learning is integral for monitoring students' learning and development. Listed below are some sample strategies for this purpose. A. Self-monitoring tools. So, pwede po natin gamitin yan. Yan yung po yung pinakita ko kanina. So, sabi po dyan, consider the needs of learners per key stage. Early grades needed assistance. So, yung po mga nasa primary grades, kailangan po ng assistance coming from their parents or guardians, while other, yung po medyo may edad na or mas matured na learners natin, expected to accomplish self-reflection tools on their own. And then B, check-ins of teachers with learners during assessment period. And letter C, evidence of learning in students' learning portfolio. Ayan. Okay, so feedback and remediation. To benefit students' learning, both formative and summative assessment must be accompanied with timely, constructive, and meaningful feedback based on the learner's record of progress. So, pwede po natin itong i-feedback sa ating mga parents or guardian or sa ating mga mag-aaral, both po, formative and summative, ang sabi po dito. So, pag nagbigay po tayo ng feedback, lagi po natin consider it must be constructive and meaningful para po talagang maipakita po yung progress po ng ating mga mag-aaral. Okay, in giving feedback, teachers need to maximize available communication options. So, dito po, pwede pong nakalagay dito na example, writing feedback on the output. Po mismo sa output ng bata, sinagutan niya. Pwede rin namang texting feedback via SMS or i-text po natin. And using online channels, or pwede po siguro dito ay via video call. Wag po sa GC kasi baka mabasa naman ng ibang mga mag-aaral. So, yun po mga pwede po nating magamit na iba pang platforms. And Annex F, provide guide to help frame decision or appropriate feedback to learners. Yeah. So, consistent with DepEd Order Number 8, 2015, teachers should ensure that learners receive mediation when they earn raw scores which are consistently below expectation in summative assessment by the 5th week of any quarter. This will prevent the student from failing in any learning area at the end of the year. So, ibig sabihin po, si teacher, dapat po sinisigurado niya na yung bata ay nabibigyan natin siya ng mediation, na feedback natin na maigi, or nare-remediate natin yung bata. With regards to the raw score, sabi po dito, by the 5th week sa ika-5 linggo ng anumang quarter, para po natatrack natin kung yung bata ba palaging below expectation yung result ng kanyang summative assessment. So, para po yun, isang paraan daw para ma-prevent yung bata sa pag-fail o sa pagbagsak at the end of the year. So, yun po yung isa sa provision po nitong DepEd Order number 31 na consistent din po sa DepEd Order number 8. Okay. Grading and promotion. For current school year, quarterly assessment shall not be administered. So, alam naman po natin yan. Wala ngayon pong, last year hindi po tayo nagbigay ng quarterly assessment. So, however, days allotted for quarterly assessment in DepEd Order number 7, 2020, or the school calendar and activities for school year 2020-2021, last year po yan, may be used for the presentation of major performance for the quarter that addresses the performance standards. So, grading and promotion. Quarterly examination were given a weight of 20% ng mga nakakaraang taon po nung may face-to-face pa. Since it is no longer part of the grading system ng ating bagong school year, dahil nga po sa pandemic, its previously administered weight is now distributed equally into written works and performance task. So, allotting an additional 10% to each component. So, nag-add na lang po ng additional 10% sa bawat component kasi tinanggal nga po yung quarterly examination. This maintains an emphasis on performance task for some learning areas. So, may table 1 po dito. Ito po ay nagpapakita ng weight distribution on the summative assessment components per learning area for grades 1 to 10. So, alam naman po natin ito, di po ba mga ma'am? Kasi ginawa na po natin to last year. So, ang assessment components po natin ngayon, dalawa na lang, written works, performance task. Tinanggal ang quarterly examination. So, ang weights po ng language, AP, ESP sa written works ay 40%. So, ang science math naman po 50% sa written works. Ang MAPE, PP, TLE 30%. Pagdating po sa performance task, ang language, AP, ESP ay 60%, ang science and math ay 50%, at ang MAPE, EPP, TLE po ay 70%. This is good for grades 1 to 10. Yan, table 2 na po tayo. Table 2 shows the weight distribution of the summative assessment components for senior high school. So, ito po yung may senior high school. So, sa written works po, sa core subjects po nila, 40%. Academic track under all subjects, nakalagay po dito, 40%. Para po sa work immersion, research, business, enterprise, simulation, exhibit, performance, 50%. Technical, vocational, livelihood, TBL, sports, arts, and design tracks. All other subjects, 30%, and work immersion, research, exhibit, and performance, 30%. Para po sa performance task, sa core subjects nila, 60%. At sa academic track po nila, yung all other subjects, 60%. Pero para po dun sa work immersion research, this is enterprise, simulation, exhibit, performance, 50%. And para naman sa technical, vocational, TBL, sports, arts, and design track, all other subject areas, 70% sa performance task, while work immersion, research, exhibit, and performance, 70% din po. So, yun po ang ating table 2. For table 3, sample computation of written works and performance task in languages AP, ESP, for grades 1 to 10 and senior high school core subjects. So we all know that we are required to give at least 4 written works and 4 performance tasks. So this table shows the sample on how we can compute the grades of a learner. For example, we have here the highest possible score in written works 1 to 4, we have here 20, 25, 20, 20, total of 85. So the percentage score is 100. So when the learner got 85 or perfect siya sa lahat ng 4 na written works, ang kanyang magiging percentage score ay 100. And what is the weighted average of that? So, dahil siya perfect, so automatically 40% na siya sa written works. So, sa performance task naman, for example, may 4 din, at yung bata ay naka-perfect din sa 4. 15, 15, 25, 20, total nun 75. Ang kanyang percentage score ay 100. So, ang weighted average niya doon sa performance task ay 60%. So, that will give him the initial grade of 100. So, that is in the case of a pupil who got perfect scores. How about kung hindi siya naka-perfect? So, for example, meron tayo ditong si learner A. So, sa unang assessment written work, 18 siya out of 20, 22 out of 25. Sa third, naka-perfect siya, 20. Sa fourth, naka-17 siya out of 20. So, meron siyang total na 77. So, ano ang percentage score ng 77? So, that is 91. And what is the weighted average of 91? So, since ito ay 40%, makukuha natin yung weighted average niya as 36.4. So, punta tayo sa performance task niya. So, sa 15, naka-12 siya. Sa second, naka-13 out of 15. And third, 19 out of 25, 15 out of 20. Ang total score niya is 56. Now, what is the percentage score of 56 out of 75? So, that is 75 percentage score. And what is the weighted average? 75 po ay 45%. So, i-add po natin yung weighted average na dalawa, 36.4 at yung 45. Ang total nun, ang initial grade ng bata is 81.4. So, saan po nanggaling yung quarterly grade na 88? So, transmutation table still holds true. Ginagamit pa rin po natin ito. So, kung titingnan po natin yung transmutation table, mamaya, yung 81.4 po ay, yun po ay pumapatak na 88. So, ang grade po ng bata ay 88. So, ganun din po dito sa Math, Science for grades 1 to 10. So, sample po si learner A. Out of 20, naka-18 siya. Out of 25, 22. Out of 20, perfect siya. 20, 17 siya. Ang total score niya is 77 out of 85. So, what is the percentage score nung nakuha niyang 77 dun sa 85? That is 91. And what is the weighted average? Dahil to ay 50%, ang 91 po ay 45.5%. Okay. And then, ganun din po yung gagawin natin sa performance task ng bata. Since 50% po ang math and science, susundan lamang din po natin yung process na tinuro ko sa inyo kanina. And then, i-add po natin yung weighted average. Ang total nun, 83. So, para po makuha natin yung kanyang grades, ay titingnan po natin yung 83 doon sa transmutation table kung ilan po yung magiging grade po ng bata. So, ang magiging grade po niya is 89 kapag po ginamit natin yung transmutation table. Okay. For table 5, sample computation of written works and performance tasks in MAPE, EPPTLE for grades 1 to 10. So, dito po ang written works ng bata is 30%. Ang performance task is 70. So, kung si learner A, naka-18 siya out of 20, 22 out of 25, 20 out of 20, 17 out of 20. Ang total score niya is 77 out of 85. So, that is 91 po, ang kanyang percentage score. So what is the weighted average? Kung 30% po ito. So ang kanyang weighted average is 27.3. So sa performance task po, mas malaki. Sa MAPE, EPP at TLE, ito po ay 70%. So kung yung bata po ay naka 12 siya out of 15, 13 out of 15, 19 out of 25, 15 out of 20, so ang kanyang total score is 56, ang percentage score niya is 75. So what is 75 out of 20 sa weighted average? That is 52.5%. Dahil ito po ay 70%. So i-add po ulit natin yung weighted average. 27.3 plus 52.5. Ang kanya initial grade is 79.8. Bakit po initial? Kasi gagamitin pa natin yung transportation table. So pag tinransmit po natin ito, ang kanyang quarterly grade ay 87%. So the transportation table, which is Appendix B in DepEd Order Number 8, 2015, shall still be used in this grading system. The guidelines on learners' progress as well as the promotion and retention shall likewise follow provisions cited in the said policy. Yan. So ito po yun, yung transmutation table na meron din po dito sa DepEd order. Yan. So ano nga po ba, as a summary, ano-ano nga po ba yung mga pagbabago, slight changes po sa DepEd, between DepEd Order Number 8, 2015 and DepEd Order Number 31, 2020. So una po, sa DepEd Order Number 8, merong quarterly exam. Yan. So ito po ay 20%. So sa DepEd Order Number 31, yung interim guidelines, nawala na po ang quarterly assessment. Dalawa na lamang po ang ating assessment components, written works at performance task. So iba-iba po ang percentage ng mga subject areas sa written works. Ang languages, AP, ESP, sila po ay 40% sa written works. Science and Math, 50. MAPE, EPP, TLE, 30. Sa performance task, language, AP, ESP is 60%. Science and Math, 50%. And MAPE, EPP, TLE, PBL, 70%. So parang ang makikita lang po natin dito na parang parehas ay Science and Math. So madaling tandaan. Science and Math, 50-50 sila. Language, AP, ESP, 40-60. MAPE, EPP, TLE, 30-70. So yun po yung isa. Another changes between DepEd Order Number 8 and DepEd Order Number 31. In DepEd Order Number 8, individual and collaborative summative assessment po ito. Meaning to say, learners may be assessed individually through unit tests and quarterly assessment. Collaboratively, learners may participate in group activities in which they cooperate to produce evidence of their learning. The process of creating a learning project is given more weight or important than the project itself. So sa DepEd Order Number 31, 2020 po, sample integrative performance task po ang meron tayo. Ito po yung gagawin natin dun sa ESP na inassign po sa atin. So meaning to say, pwede po natin integrate yung iba't ibang learning areas to come up with integrative performance task. Yan. So ano pa po? Sa DepEd Order Number 31 po, meron po tayong tinatawag record of progress. The collection and recording of evidences of learning is integral for monitoring students' learning and development. Listed below are some sample strategies for this purpose. Una po, ito ay self-monitoring tool. Meron po tayong Annex E. Yung nga po, yung kinukonsider natin na pasagutan sa ating mga estudyante per key stage. So early grades yung kailangan ng assistance ng parents, while yung mga medyo maedad na ay kaya na po nila yon. And then, check-ins of teachers with learners during assessment period. Yan. So, may check-ins po ang teacher. Ibig sabihin, kapag ka po tayo ay nag-a-assess sa ating mga bata, inaalam pa din natin ano ba yung kanilang mga struggles, ano yung mga sitwasyon, yung ganun po sa diniscuss kanina. And then, letter C, evidence learning in students' learning portfolio. So, iniipon po natin yung kanilang learning sa kanila pong learning portfolio. Yan. So, ano pa po? Sa DepEd Order number 8, nakikita po natin dito, yung components, written works, ito po yung mga sample na binibigay po natin, unit, chapter test, written report, yan po, may mga sample dyan. Okay, dito po sa ating DepEd Order number 31, depende po sa klase ng modality po na gagamitin natin. So, dahil nga po pandemic, wala tayong face-to-face. So, ang ating po kino-consider is either ito nga pong mga itong modality na pwedeng modular printed, modular digital, pwedeng asynchronous, synchronous online, yun po. So, yun po isa pa sa pagkakaiba. Okay, ano pa po? So, sa DepEd Order number 31 po, binibigyan po ng stress ang feedback and remediation. So, both formative and summative assessment must be accompanied with timely, relevant, meaningful feedback, also constructive feedback sa ating pong mga parents and learners para po makita yung kanilang progress. Ano po? So, huwag po natin kalilimutan yun kasi napakahalaga po na mag-feedback tayo. So, consistent with DepEd Order number 8, 2015, teachers should ensure that learners receive remediation. So, noong pa naman po, talagang nagbibigay po tayo ng mga remediation sa ating mga mag-aaral na hindi po nakamit dun sa ating target. So, ganun pa rin po ngayon, meron pa rin tayong remediation na kailangan po ibigay sa ating mga mag-aaral. Ang nakalagay po dito is consistently, yung mga bata po na ang kanilang dinidisplay na performance is below expectation sa kanilang mga summative assessment. By the 5th week of any quarter, kailangan po natin sila talagang bigyan ng remediation para po maiwasan po yung kanilang pagbagsak at the end of the school year. So, yun po yung mga special na mga provisions na nakita ko po dito sa DepEd Order number 31. Monitoring and evaluation. The school heads shall be primarily responsible for supervising the implementation of this policy in their schools, ensuring that the provisions are communicated to all concerned stakeholders in the school community. So it's very important po na ipaalam po natin ang nilalaman po ng policy na ito sa ating pong mga stakeholders, sa ating pong mga parents. And the region and schools division offices shall jointly monitor the compliance of the schools with these guidelines. The Curriculum and Learning Management Division and Curriculum Implementation Division shall diligently collaborate with each other in ensuring that the provisions of this policy are complied with. So, ang ating pong STO ay talagang minomonitor po ito, and that's the reason why kung bakit po tayo nagkakaroon ng ganitong district virtual training po sa DepEd Order number 31 to make sure po na ito ay cascaded po sa lahat ng ating mga teachers. Okay? Another, at the school level, the implementation of this policy shall be monitored and evaluated at least once every quarter by the school heads. The school head shall prepare quarterly report that includes the challenges and issues encountered throughout the policy information or implementation. The said report shall be submitted to the division office for collation and analysis. The SDO will then prepare a biannual analysis report for submission to the regional office. So, kailangan po ito, mayroon po siyang quarterly report. Okay. And then overall policy feedbacks from regional offices shall be provided to the DepEd Central Office to be used in evaluating the policy for continuous improvement of its design and implementation. Yan. So, pwede na po natin ulit sagutan yung ating post-test kanina. So, tingnan nyo po yung inyong mga sinagutan kanina at pwede nyo pong itama ngayon. Sagutan nyo po ulit. Yan. So, I'll give you po time para po sagutan. Okay, sige po, sagutan na po natin. So, number 1, So ano po ang inyong sagot? DepEd Order number 31, Series 2020 is also known as the Interim Guidelines for the Assessment and Grading in light of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. True or false? So this is true. Okay, summative assessment is a process that involves teachers using evidence about what learners know and can do to inform and improve their teaching. So ano pa ang sagot niyo? This is false. Ito po ay formative assessment kasi ginagamit to inform and to improve, or in short, feedbacking. Number 3, formative assessment is usually administered at the end of the learning period to measure the extent to which the learners have mastered the essential learning competencies. So ano po ang sagot? So this is also false. This is summative assessment because it is used for giving grades and to know if the learners master the essential learning competencies. Okay, number 4. Minimum of 4 written works and 4 performance tasks shall be administered within the quarter, preferably 1 in 2 weeks, integrating 2 or more competencies. Answer is true. So, minimum lang po tayo ng 4 written, 4 sa performance task. At ito po ay hindi natin ibibigay ng biglaan sa mga bata kasi mahirapan po sila. Ang pinaprepare po natin, 1 written works and 1 performance task in 2 weeks. Ibig sabihin po, after po ng module ng week 1 at week 2, yung susunod po na week, pwede na po tayong magbigay ng assessment test sa ating mga estudyante. And then, each performance task must be accompanied with clear directions, appropriate scoring tool, or rubrics. So, answer is true. Ang performance task, palagi po siyang mayroong rubrics. Okay, thank you very much. That ends my presentation. Ito po yung tatandaan natin. Assessment is today's means of modifying tomorrow's instruction. Kaya po, maging maingat po tayo sa ating pagbibigay ng assessment sa ating mga bata upang makita po natin yung maayos po na result para ma-modify din po natin yung ating instruction sa mga susunod na araw para po sa kapakanan ng ating mga mag-aaral. So, yun lamang po at maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.